This is clearly very informal already. Actually, we might do some just like physical exercises later with like how to set stuff up because that'd be fun. Okay, so AD department is part of the production department. So when you're ever seeing a budget, your AD department goes into that, and the ADs are gonna be your first AD and your second AD. And second, again, often gets a bad rap and for various reasons, mostly because the size of projects we're working on normally don't really require a second AD to do their full and proper job. But we'll get into that in a minute. I'll also sort of say everything I'm going to give is primarily going to be with the mindset of ADing a short film or an independent feature film, low budget stuff. It applies across the board, whether it's a big budget feature film or whether you're doing commercials. You'll find a lot of times, especially in agencies in this area and smaller size commercials, will often not use their AD or use an AD, they'll use their producer because a producer and AD's jobs can overlap quite a bit. That goes back to the production department thing. If you were wanting to become a producer, one way is to just start producing things. Totally fine with doing that. If you wanted to go through the traditional or Hollywood route, you would probably come in as a PA, and then there's several positions as a production assistant. So you come as a production assistant, usually an additional, somebody that is called like, hey, we have a big crowd day, we need you, we need extra people, we're doing doing a scene on a bunch of roads, we need you to help lock up the streets. You get called in for that. So my first job was on a movie called Recount, that was the HBO did, and so I was an additional, and then one of our PAs left to go get married or something, and so I got promoted to a full-time PA, and I became the background PA. So that is one of the PA jobs, is background PA. I'm going to work up to AD, but sort of to see how this works. If you're on a good Hollywood set or good production, it doesn't have to be in a good Hollywood set, but a good production, your PAs are getting very specific jobs. Your job is, yes, getting coffee is going to be something you do, running errands on set is something you're going to do, but a good PA acts as a mini AD. So you have a good AD, he's going to teach you, or they're going to teach you how to be their job at a smaller, more micro level. So if you're ever a PA, look at that as an opportunity to be AD of the space you have. It's a very small space, you have zero authority, but you can treat your job that way. If you treat your job that way, you get promoted, you get back to asked onto things so much faster than anybody who's sort of just like, well, I'll go get the coffee when I'm told to get the coffee. I remember one experienced PA told me, he's like, okay, here's Video Village. If you don't have Video Village, that's where the directors, the producers, and the executives sit and stuff. And he pointed out to him, he's like, that woman paid for this. She smokes cigarettes. Find out what she smokes, buy a pack, keep it on you. And I was like, okay. And I would do that, and then she'd be around her, she's like, do you have a smoke? And I'd pull it out. She's like, oh, I smoke these. I was like, oh, how about that? Amazing. What do you know? And then if you're around, you're offering water, can get you water, can get you coffee, that kind of thing. And then also as an AD, as a PA, always have two batteries on you. There's a battery on your radio, and there's another battery that you just have on you. So anyone goes, when the first AD is like, my battery's dead. You walk up, you hand it to him immediately. You're doing that. Because a PA, if you're always thinking ahead, that's training you to be an AD, which is always thinking ahead of what's happening next. Was it hot break? Hot break. That's the code for needing a battery on set. Now that's again the bigger stuff. These smaller things, we won't want to get into that as much. But going back to the PA, so background PA, my job on those sets was to help background arrive. And this was like massive background cast, like 1,600 people. So they'd go to the casting director who brought them in, make sure their paperwork's being signed. If they need a costume, make sure they're getting a wardrobe. If specific people needed makeup, they go somewhere. I'd talk to usually the second AD or the key PA to go, how many people do you need for this moment? Oh, we're doing an elevator scene, I need 5 people. I want them diverse. Okay, bam, 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 pick the people, send them over to another PA who will walk them over there. And you're basically babysitting this camp of background people. Eventually you need all of them. So you start breaking them up, figuring out what you need to do, where they're gonna be. You have a walkie PA, their whole job is to keep track of and keep the batteries charged for all the walkies. So at the end of the day, they're gathering everybody's walkies, specifically the bricks, getting home, charging them, make sure they're being charged, and turn them all off. It is terrifying when you are at home in the middle of the night and the radio just starts squawking because it hit a channel on some police scanner, and you're just like, what is happening? Terrifying. Turn the radios off. I woke up too many times with just radios talking to me. It's like, I was also in like this New Orleans house that was like being renovated, so it was like there was no furniture. We were just sleeping on floors in New Orleans, and voices just go off. It was very upsetting. So that is sort of what the background PA does. All of you have the same other fundamental jobs on set. So that's locking up a street, for example. We have cross traffic. We're shooting this way. So one of us would be here, one of us would be here, and make sure no pedestrians, or if the situation demands it, no cars are coming through. it's very important when you're shooting something that's period, right? You want to make sure everything you see is of your period. You don't want somebody coming through who's not appropriate. In New York, they'll be more chill about that. They'll like, let's let people walk through if it's all in the same period. Like let it happen, because New York, you also don't need permits to be on the street. You can just go, which is a cool thing. I don't know how it is here, but who am I kidding? We're all stealing locations all the time anyway. We do the same thing in Florida when I was down there. So that's a lot of fundamental jobs, but you have also specific jobs. Then the last PA will be a key PA, and they're going to be the the first miniature AD, and they're going to be sort of in charge of all the other PAs. So that key PA is usually standing near camera, near the first AD, and just hearing whatever the AD's talking about and thinking about, so he can be on the radio ahead of the AD. So I remember we had one, the key PA was watching a scene, they're talking to the director. Director's like, okay, I want some people back there. Key PA's already on the radio saying, hey, Sky, I need you to give me 5 walkers, diverse, just grab the first 5 people you see. We're gonna stick them back by that door. Just have them ready. I'll tell you where to send them. And so you're already moving when the AD comes to me and says, hey, I need 5 people back there. You're like, cool, already on it. And he's like, great, don't worry about it. So that's what the key PA is doing, is hearing and observing. Doesn't really say much, doesn't really offer much to that team, just listens and then relays it back to the other PAs. So this is all that sort of extra stuff, the atmosphere stuff to the movie. And now we'll get into the sort of the main topic of things. Yes, AD, it's premonition skills for days. So yeah, then the last PA, sorry, is the base camp PA, and that'll be the one who hangs out at base camp. They're making sure that talent arrives on time, checking them in, getting them signed in on the if you're doing SAG, there's a sheet they have to sign when they arrive, making sure that they're getting breakfast, they're getting hair and makeup, getting in a wardrobe, and then they're getting brought to set at the right time. And you literally escort them to and from set. At base camp with you is the second AD, and this is a really important job on big sets with multiple days. If you're only shooting over a weekend, 3 days, 4 days, the second AD is not going to be as critical. You start shooting a week or longer, your second AD is deeply important. Your second AD's primary focus is thinking about the second day. He's calling catering, being like, hey, we're planning to eat at this time. You're still good to be there? Great. Calling location. Hey, we're gonna be here at this time. Everything's still good. Or if the day's running late, calling the location, be like, hey, we're running late. We're going to be here at this time now instead. Is that okay? And working out all of next day's logistics before we show up if anything changes. Because as we know, things go late on certain days, and things become problematic. If you have child actors on set, second AD is keeping track of when they arrived on set and making sure that they are coming off of set so they can go see the tutor or whoever else is there. Again, these are big things. For the stuff we're doing, a second AD is really just useful, prepping the call sheet for the next day, making sure that all information is correct, everybody's been prepped, so there's an actor that's coming on the next day, but then they're this day, you're calling them and reminding them of their call time. Like, don't just trust that the email got to them. You call them and say, here, confirmation. Yes, I received call time. I'm good. So second AD is handling all this base camp stuff, is almost never on set unless the first AD goes to the bathroom and then calls the second to set. So that's second AD's job. It doesn't get used in what we do that often because you just don't need somebody thinking that far in advance that often. Like, for the most part, the first AD, the producer, can make that call if things are going late or follow up with the locations for the next day. Okay, so with that, let's get into the first AD, and let's talk about first just the primary roles that they do on set, and then we'll backtrack it and talk about first AD in terms of prep, because that might be the most critical thing a first AD does, and that is the prep. But on set, the first AD, your job first and foremost is to be the general of set. You are running set. I know it's a director's medium, and a director is going to have their say, do their thing. They're going to determine where the camera goes. You are in charge of how the set runs. The director's picking the camera, telling the actors where to go. AD needs to handle everything else. The director should not be thinking about anything other than where the camera goes and what the actors are going to do. Everything else is going to come onto you as the AD. So when you're thinking about that, let's try to think of some good examples. That's good. Everyone, let's stand up. We're going to walk out here and do and walk through like a scene if we're going to do something. So. Do we have any directors? Are there directors present? People who like to direct? You moved a hand. Sorry, I saw her hand first. All right, so you're my director. All right, but you can be my DP. We're all gonna come out here, my DP. All right, so this is our set. This is what we're doing. So if I'm the AD, this is our DP. They're discussing. They want to do a shot. They want to do a tracking shot. You two are gonna be my actors, okay? You two are my actors. And what your blocking is gonna be. You're gonna start here. You're just gonna be walking across, talking to each other as you move across. The DP's decided he wants to do a tracking shot. Nothing's set up yet. He wants to do a dolly shot. He's telling us what this is. And what we're doing right now is called a new deal. This is when our director and our DP would say, get everybody, all the department heads, get them together, say, hey guys, what are we doing? And say, okay, well, we have this dolly shot set up here. We're gonna be tracking like this. And then the DP's like talking to his gaffers, yeah, I want a key light here. And then put a little halo light back over here. I want whatever I need to do, okay? So they've decided that's what's happening. I told you guys. So I'm telling my team, okay, you guys, you put marks here. So my second AC, you're gonna put marks down here for these guys. I'm telling these guys where to go. We're gonna rehearse it. So let's rehearse it real quick. You guys ready? You guys good for rehearsal? Yeah. All right, great. All right, actors on your marks. We'll have rehearsal on the director's call.
Steady. Action.
All right, at the cut of rehearsals, go back to 1. Are you happy? You happy how that went?
I think they could turn a little quicker.
Turn a little quicker. Okay, guys, so let's start one more time. Turn a little quicker. Let's find a mark here. You want to turn maybe about here? Feel. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so when they turn, they kind of wait towards the wall. But
DP, are we seeing their feet? No. Okay, cool. Can I get a mark right here, AC? All right, and so I have my AC put a mark here. Now the AC knows where to put a mark. He's put his mark down. All right, so guys, when you see that mark, just start making a turn, all right? Do you want it sharp? You want it to bend?
Okay. And then give a okay. Yeah, actually, sound speed, camera speed, that's better.
Okay, so when they come that turn, do you want to make it a wide turn? Or do you want to make it a harsh, sharp turn? Like they're.
It's a little more dramatic.
Okay, very good. All right. Rehearsal on the director's call.
Camera can go. And actors, action.
Cut. Okay, great. All right, so, but let's say you're happy with that. All right, first team, I'm gonna send with my second. I'm gonna send with my second AD who brought in the set. Sky, you'll be my second. So they can go back to base camp. We'll get some stand-ins in. Let's get some stand-ins in. All right, and then all right, crew. The set is yours. And now give me over the set to the crew, so your camera department, your electric department, your grip department can get to work. We're letting first team get out of the way. They're gonna the rest of the crews gonna start getting to work, and then these guys are gonna sort of wait and tweak. And I'm gonna say kindly, and I'm gonna say, how much time do you need? How much time do you need for this shot?
I need at least 30 minutes.
30 minutes, excellent. We can do 30 minutes.
Okay.
No problem, 30 minutes. Now, if he was like, I could do this in 5, let's say you said that to me,
I can do this in 5.
I would say, okay, let's be realistic. How fast can you do this?
At least 15.
15, that's what I want to hear. Okay, 15. I never want to hear 5 minets. Okay, we can go back to our seats when we talk about this, yeah. Thank you, everybody. That was excellent. We'll go do this again because I feel like physical is easier.
Turn right. I mean,
yeah, well, he can't turn left. I'm just gonna keep using references that you guys don't understand. Okay, so what was the last thing I just said? Okay, so the 5 minutes. I have never in the history of ever seen something get done in 5 minutes. I don't care if it's a lens change. It is never 5 minutes. So if an AD, you hear somebody like, I just need 5 minutes. Like, it's not 5 minutes. It's at least 7, probably 10. So always plan for that.
I had a record building a schedule and he put things everything at 5 minutes.
Yeah, you can't do it.
He didn't believe me.
No, it's. I've been on sets with some really experienced people. They're like, oh, it's just a lens change. I need 5 minutes. I'm like, no. You need 5 minutes to put the lens on, right. And then you need whatever time you need to like fix the focus or figure out where people are now and readjust the camera. Like it's never 5 minutes, ever. Don't believe anybody when they say 5 minutes. It's never 5 minutes. Okay, so on set, that's fundamentally what you're doing is you were looking at these things and thinking about them. Now let's talk about it. We have our schedule. We have this tracking shot, right? So we know we want to lay down track. Okay, so I'm looking at our schedule, our shooting schedule. We're doing that shot, and then I know she also wants a shot from the back of the room looking back this way to get the coverage of the people walking. But then she also wants one behind them. So I got to figure out if we have these 3 shots. So we have a shot, this tracking shot she talked about, right? We're going to go this way. Then we have a shot that's static here. Oh, no, she actually wants a second dolly shot that's going like this to follow him. Okay, now we got to start thinking about how are we going to schedule that in our day so we're not getting in our way, right? So I'm going to scrap that scenario for a second and come up with one that is really to think about, especially when we have a younger director. They'll often want to shoot the film in the way they're going to edit in their head. So we'll have, let's say, we have coverage here, right? And I know I want coverage here. and we'll coverage like this, right? So the cameras, once the camera's on this side, one camera's on this side, different lighting setups. So here to here would be fine, but here, and then you want somebody here, so they'll shoot his medium shot with her in the background, right? And then they'll want to come over here and shoot her medium shot with him in the background. Then want to come back over here and shoot his close-up with her in the background, and come back over here and, okay, well, seems pretty obvious what the problem with that would be, right? You want to light it once. You want to shoot everything this direction first. So whether that's our wide, then his medium close-up, shoot all of that first. Then flip the room and shoot everything else going back the other way. That's the thing that sometimes people will lose track of. They'll think about what they want. So we want to go to the director choose, like, are you sure you have shot everything that you want to do this way? When they say yes, then you flip the room. Now sometimes that can be really complicated. Those setups, pretty straightforward. We probably wouldn't lose our day if we had to flip back, and if we had to flip one more time, if we messed up, had to come back. Probably wouldn't lose our day. But when you start adding a dolly shot or a crane shot or a steady cam or anything that has to be built, now you're in a world of trouble. So when you're looking at the shots you're going to do, even if before you get to set, you're like, I like the order this is going to be. This makes sense. Something inevitably goes wrong. So you have to know your shots in your room so well, so that if anything goes wrong, you can go, okay, well, I can't do that now because the truck that hasn't arrived yet, but I want to get something shot. We can shoot this right now looking this way. We had talked about starting the day this way, but we can do this right now. Let's shoot everything that was going to be this way now. I know maybe that was the last 3 shots we had planned. Now they're the first 3 shots planned because I don't want to flip the room back twice. We'll shoot these 3 first, and then we'll come back and sort of go back to what our original schedule was. So that's a key thing. That goes back to now the original part of, the most important part of ADing, and that is the preparation part. I will speak about some things where I have messed up and where I have done well in the prep side. So actually, this was only last year. Actually, the last time I AD'd, I got a little bit arrogant about how good I had become at ADing. And I was like, I don't need this is straightforward. I don't need to prep too much for this. Just kind of need to know what's going on. And Rhodes produced this film, by the way. It turned out fine. The movie is really very funny and very good. Yeah, this was more just me being like, what have I got? What are we doing? And so I thought I understood. And had I done more prep and asked more questions, I would have done a better job. But I put myself constantly in a bad spot and chasing my own tail. Not to be able to flip a room a lot of times, but I was constantly chasing my own tail about where to be ahead. Because as the AD, you always want to be 2 or 3 shots ahead of whatever it is you're doing. Like what happens next? Because much like that key PA was standing next to the AD, and he heard them talking about how they were going to want someone in the background and read that information, I want to be in a spot where I know we're on this shot. I'm turning around going to the makeup department like, hey, in 2 shots, he's going to need a scar. Just make sure you're ready for that you're aware. And then go, oh, they're like, I'm already on it. That's a great person. They're maybe like, oh, thank you for reminding me. I want to make sure we're on that. Oh, hey, we're going to change wardrobe after this when we flip the room. So make sure you're ready with the second wardrobe so that they're ready to go. Because no one wants to be the one you're waiting on, right? No one wants to be that person. So that is what you're doing. You're always kind of thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. And so with this one, I felt pretty good about sort of what was going on. Talking to the director and DP, I felt pretty good about what they wanted to do. I was like, yeah, we got this. I'm not too worried about it. And you know, it's a 3-day shoot. I didn't have a lot of prep. I didn't have a lot of official prep. That shouldn't matter. That's where the arrogance comes in. Like I should have taken more attention to like, this is a hard thing to do. We have a guy who's playing himself twice. Like we have one actor playing 2 characters. So we're going to have to bounce back and forth between hairstyles and wardrobe and makeup. So how do we shoot out one direction while also waiting for that person and then flipping room? And I could have done a way better job and would have done a way better job had I just taken an extra week as opposed to like two days to like really dig into what was on the script, what the director wanted to do, what the DP wanted to do, and put ourselves in a better spot. Because it's a hard thing. All of that's hard to do. Plus, there was visual effects because we had to double, had to replace people. Like, I should have gotten a clearer picture of how they wanted to execute it, not just like, oh, I know how to do that. Because how I knew how to do it was not how they wanted to do it. It's a different thing. Neither's right or wrong, just it was different. Put me in a bad spot. Conversely, things that have gone really, really well, I put a ton of prep in. I've thought about every single thing. We've looked at it over and over and over again. We talked about all the shots, and things worked were way smoother because everyone just like, it was almost boring being on set because it was like, I'm going to the next thing. Great, let's go on to the next thing. Great. I mean, things still went wrong, but we're so ready. You know what's going on. It's much like improv. So if you're for the actors, if you know your character, you know the script, you know the dialogue so well, you can add things to it or change things. Or if you forget a line, you know how to keep going because you know what the material is. It's the same thing as an AD. Same thing as a director. When something goes wrong, because things go wrong, the better you know your material, the easier it is to pivot. Because you have to pivot. You're going to always have to pivot. Maybe at day one, but there's going to be a day where you pivot. I think you've all been on enough sets that pivoting occurs. So know your material. All right, so that gets us into prep. And this is where, especially right now, I think it's really good if you learn how to produce an AD, they can go really well together, especially on these shorter short films. Because as a producer, you're probably on it at the beginning. So I'm gonna start blending these two things right now for this conversation, as a producer and as the AD, because I do a lot of that. I do a lot of producing, and I end up often as the AD because I already know the whole damn thing. I don't want to bring somebody else up to speed. I don't want to get them caught up. I don't want their rhythm. I already know exactly what we're doing, especially when it's like a 3-day thing. Now that said, there's a feature film that I'm producing right now, and I'm not ADing, and it's awesome. So stoked that I don't have to be on set. It's great. I like being on set, but I don't have to go to Jacksonville. It's nice. So for something like this, you get the script, and the producer does their own breakdown. Now, every department head should do a breakdown of the script. A good department head is going to do a breakdown. AD is also going to do a breakdown. Producer's doing a breakdown that kind of should cover or could cover every single thing that a department head is going to cover. A good department head will have more specific and better questions than the producer will have, but the producer is going to identify, okay, we have this many wardrobes that we need, this much makeup effects that I can see in the script. Now talking to the director, I see we have this many clear props that we need. I see we have this many locations, this many actors, and they can start formulating all this stuff, and they build all this stuff up. Once the breakdown is done, are you guys familiar with doing a breakdown? Who's done a breakdown on a script before? Okay. Actually, so if you've not done a breakdown on a script, I would say just go to Studio Binder and go with their blog section, and they give a really nice rundown of what is needed. So you can do it online on Studio Binder. I'm still pretty old school, and I like printing the script out and grabbing my colored pencils and doing all my breakdowns, and then for whatever reason, going back to digital, just input it all back into the computer. Is that extra work? Yeah. Do I like it? Yeah. I'm a weirdo like that. So, but Studio Binder is great. If you write the thing in Studio Binder, you can do a breakdown in Studio Binder, then you can do a budget in the Studio Binder, then you can do a schedule in Studio Binder. Studio Binder's not paying me. This is just a reality. Like, Celtic is also good for that, and one of them offers some. I think Celtic's budget software is better than Studio Binders because they have more details you can put in there, and I like their call sheet. No, they don't have a call sheet, and that's why they're a bummer. Studio Binder does have the call sheet, which is nice. Okay, so you break down the script. You have all the elements of the script now. The first thing you should do is you should do a schedule. Often we want to go and jump into the budget if you have how much it's going to cost. Schedule will dictate how much it costs far faster than anything else, because a schedule will tell you how many days do you need. How many days do I need this actor on set? How many days do I need that actress on set? How many days do I need this production vehicle? How many days do I need this location? Now you know how long you need something, and it's so much easier to determine how much that costs once you know how long you need something. So a producer is usually doing this first because they're trying to raise money or determine how much money is needed, whatever the case. Money producer, however that money is getting there, the producer is the one managing that, not the AD. So the producer has to do all this work already. The AD is often responsible for the schedule, but they're usually responsible for the schedule after the producer has done a schedule. And it's more of that nitty-gritty, like fine-tuning of the schedule based on what the director wants. That's cool, but the producer, you've already done this now once, so why not keep that going? So after the schedule's made, you're then going to do a budget if you're a producer. Again, these are overlapping because in that hierarchy, PA, second AD, production coordinator, UPM, producer. Like, you eventually become a producer if you stay in the AD game long enough. That's usually the trajectory that you go. So eventually you're going to learn how to do all this stuff anyway because that's what's required of you. So I would recommend breaking it down, scheduling it, budgeting it, and from there you have all the information you need, and then you can get with the director and go, okay, let's start shot listing this. The DP, you guys have already, I know you're directing, or are you directing the short film? We haven't decided that yet. Okay. I signed on the initial thought that it was writer-director, but you're a director now. Now you're a director, all right? And today you're a DP. So you two have started this conversation while I was doing this other work. You started this conversation of like what we want to do, and you finalized what your visual language is going to be and what we want to do. You're like, all right, great. You start telling me what is it you want to do on scene one. It's 2/8 of a page. You're like, well, I want 15 shots. I'm like, well, that's insane. We're not going to do that. We're not going to make our day. Like, what's happening in 2/8 of a page that needs 15 shots? Like, well, I want to do this. And I'm like, nope. You can start combining things, and we're not going to do that. That is an insane thing. I would say if you're going traditional shooting, so interiors locked off, I don't care how much dialogue there is, 12 shots in a day is a solid day. It's a good day. You can get to 15. I've done 24. I've been on sets. We've done 30. It's kind of bananas. It works. It can happen. If you're outside and it's overcast and you don't have to worry about trying to control a lot of light, yeah, you can rattle all kinds of shots off. Exterior night, you need way more time. 8 shots is pretty aggressive. But I say 12 shots is a good thing to aim for. 12 is really what is the sort of sweet spot when you're trying to set up and plan out your day. Because again, things go wrong. Grabbing a pickup or a punch it on something in the moment, feeling inspiration, totally cool. You'll feel it out. Yeah, feel it out. So you guys decided, okay, you got 2/8 of a page. We want to do these. We need these 2 shots. One's gonna be on a camera mount. It's like, okay, camera mount. That's when you need 30, 40 minutes at least to mount that camera. So 40 minutes to mount that, and then probably now it's not like the car's gonna be driving. It's 2/8, so maybe no dialogue. But how far does the car need to go? So car needs to drive. We want to drive a mile so that we get enough footage of this person driving. And say, okay, it's a mile out, it's a mile back, or maybe we're doing a half mile out, half mile back. So that's another couple minutes, 5, 7 minutes with that, the turnaround. And then, okay, if you're sitting in the back and you got a monitor, you can see it, and you're happy, great, we can move on. But now it'll take another 40 minutes to dismantle the car mount. Maybe we can take the camera off and put it somewhere else, but that's all time. That's all, whether that, you can take the camera off and start going to the next thing, that's great, but we have at least one person on our crew who's dismantling that car mount. So that's the person gone who cannot help whatever we're gonna do next. So that's where as the AD, you're starting to think about, okay, we know we gotta start with this because it's a sunrise shot, and we'll show up early, get it set, but we have that first shot, so we gotta do that first. What can I do next that's not gonna require a ton of people that we can shoot second while that's being dismantled? Hopefully you have another tripod head that you're not that requiring that whole piece. Otherwise you're waiting that 20 to 40 minutes to get that piece off. So all of these things you're thinking about as the AD. How long is this going to take to do the next, so we can do the next thing? And you just want to keep, and that's at the end of the day, that's it, because all these things are going to be, it depends on what you're shooting and how you're doing it. But every single thing you're thinking about is what happens next. AD is thinking about what happens next tomorrow. You as the AD are thinking about what happens next a shot or two from now. Do I have background? How many background do I have? Where are they? Are they ready to go? Okay, we're running out of time. This is probably a good pivot conversation. We're running out of time. We're running out of daylight. You have 5 setups on the schedule left. We've got time for 2. How can we combine some of these shots? And that's actually when you get some of your coolest, most interesting shots, is when you have to relook at this and go, oh, no, what? I don't know why I was thinking I needed to do a single and a single. We're just gonna be here, and let's just pan to the second actor and get their line, and have or rack focus. Like, I don't need two setups. We can rack focus. That'll be what it is. I remember we were doing this super low budget one, again running out of time kind of thing. We had 6 setups left, and I was like, you have time for 1. He's like, give me 15 minutes. I was like, yeah, no problem. Take 15 minutes to figure out what we're gonna do because we have 1 shot. And he goes, okay, I know exactly what to do. And he made this really very thoughtful one where the camera didn't move, just moved the actor around, and had 3 different beats in that movement. And I was like, that's friggin' directing. That is really good directing. Like if you go back and watch old movies when the camera was friggin' heavy, they couldn't move it around. Actors moved to tell the story. If you can move the actor first, that's just such a beautiful thing. It allows, Steven Soderbergh has this philosophy. He's like, I want to make as few edits in my movie as possible. I was like, that's a really interesting way to approach that. Like, how can you set up your camera so it says everything it needs to say and have the actor come in and complement that, or vice versa? How do you have the actor move to say everything you need to say and has the camera complement that? That's a beautiful way to do it. Not every movie is designed and meant to be that way, but I think if you watch some of your, well, at least my favorite movies or some of the ones that are considered greats, there's not a ton of editing. I mean, I do love Romeo and Juliet, and Baz Luhrmann cut that thing like a man on cocaine, but like, It probably because he was on cocaine. That and Moulin Rouge, like I love both of them. Like they're super fun. That energy is so great. But like you can also capture that energy. Like Steven Spielberg has this beautiful wonder that's full of energy and tension, and it's just mounted in a corner as a ferry moves away from the dock when they talk about a shark. Like that's, but the camera doesn't move. The physical space is moving, but the camera's not. It doesn't pan. But we have a guy who's standing in a medium shot. Chief Brody. If you haven't seen, I see Jaws every year, so like really know this movie. But Chief Brody's standing in the middle of frame in a medium shot. He realizes it's the mayor and some of his cronies in the car. He gets sort of annoyed by that, motivating him to walk away from them and towards camera. Now he's in like this tighter medium shot, medium close-up shot. As we see in the background, the mayor and the cronies come out and they pull forward. The mayor pulls him away from camera, trying to make it less intimate and sort of getting in his face. Now we have this nice two-shot. They have this conversation in a two-shot. He tells them how he feels. Mayor goes back to his car. He turns back into his medium close-up. All one shot while the thing just dollies. The ferry moves away. But it conveys everything you need to convey. It is full of tension, probably because it's really well written and there's tension in what they have to say. But the camera still captures all of that, and there's not a single edit. It's freaking awesome, and still plenty of energy. So there's times where it makes sense when you're telling that kind of story. As directors, you have to figure that out. But at the end of the day, like when you have to pivot and you have to cut shots, you often come up with your most interesting shots in that moment. So, but if you as a director can start thinking about that while you're prepping and while you're shot designing, like, okay, I want this shot, this shot, this shot, because that's how I initially imagined that edit in my head. It's like, well, does it have to be that? Can we still have that same tension, that same drama by moving the actor, by moving the camera? Moving a camera will take longer on set, like figuring that out, just timing that takes longer. But if you can figure those things out, it's so much more dramatic and you're spending time on a more interesting visual thing, in my opinion. So I said a lot of things really fast. I think I've covered most of what happens and occurs with an AD. These are the crucial things. Yes, sir.
Question.
Yes, question time. Yeah.
What have you done all the positions to kind of know?
Yes. Yes. So I did. For me, it was a benefit of going to film school. So I did go to film school, and our film school specifically was mandatory that you were on a film, a 3-day film, for every single job. So when I was a sophomore, yeah, was it? No, when I was a junior, we made our own films. We got to direct when we were above the line, but for the class above us, we had to be all the below the line jobs. So we were their boom operators, we were their second ACs, we were their second ADs. We were unit production managers on some, art directors on some. So we did have to do every single thing. And then as we got older, we were still department heads, but we had underclassmen who worked for us. So I have learned every single one, have a pretty good feel for what they all need. So, and I think that helps. And I also have a lot of friends who are field mixers, so I have sort of a sympathy or empathy for those guys. So I try to be very conscientious to bring your sound department in. They're also a department head, and that gets sort of neglected far too often. But if you've made anything and you've been in post-production and you realize your movie looks great, but it sounds like shit, it's because you weren't paying attention to that on set. And that is so much more valuable. I would imagine Rhodes and Ashley will attest to this. I can also attest to this, having programmed festivals before. If your movie looks fine, that's cool. If it sounds blah, that's not cool. And part of it's an audience thing, right? If you're sitting in an audience, you don't want to go from a nice sounding film to the next short film and the audio is up and down and the music is way too loud. You're like, what are they saying? And then when they are talking, they sound like they're, like I do right now, this huge echo and you're like, is that intentional? What is going on in this movie? You're not likely paying attention to how pretty the shot is. You're just like, I can't hear this movie and I'm mad. I know I am. I get angry. I get angry when I hear bad movies. So when you're an AD and when you're a director, when you're a producer, give sound more attention. You can fix a lot of visual things in post. It's very expensive to fix sound things in post because they're specialized, there's fewer of them, and less of them are interested in doing it for free. You know, DPs might come back around and color your film because like, oh, that'd be great for my reel. Like, you can find ways to negotiate. No one cares about a sound person's reel. Like, no one cares. No one's asking for it. So give them a little more attention. It's like, make sure they're like, hey, I have a guy I work with who is adamant about it, and he's taught me a lot, and I love him for it. Also a massive pain in the ass, but I love him for all this. But like, he will get up in my face, like, hey, what are we doing? Like, how many actors? And he's like, are we lobbing this? He's like, oh, is it wide? Where's my boom line gonna be? So we're doing a mass. And so long as I let him know ahead of time, like, hey, we're doing a huge wide, it's 20 feet above their head. there's no way you're booming this. If he knows that ahead of time, he's like, great, no problem. I'll put in some extra mics in this space, and we'll find ways to hide the mics in spaces on top of their lavs, so we get the best sound possible. We have like 8 tracks still. I'm like, great, but he knows that. He knows that ahead of time. So that's part of our prep conversation. That's part of the AD conversation. Like, hey, Tom, who's my sound guy, hey, we got that scene coming up where they're on the boat out there. So like, you're gonna have engine noise, all this kind of stuff. He's like, that's cool. I already figured out I'm gonna hide mics in the boat, and I also have it on them as well. So I'm set. We're good. It's like, great, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. And then we always get really. I mean, the stuff I shoot with him sounds so much better than everything else I do because he's such a pro and makes me pay attention to the sound. But now I'm like kind of anal about it. Like, let's get good sound. But yes, to answer your question, I've done all the jobs, and having done all the jobs is super helpful to go, what does that person need to do, and what do I need to tell them to help them do a better job or do their job well? Yeah. Yes.
You said 12 shots a day. That really surprised me. Is that like your like feature short doesn't matter? That's like
I would say it doesn't matter. To make that be the aim, so that you can also put the attention you want into those shots.
Right.
Again, all of it depends. I mean, I've done a one-day shoot where we did probably 20 setups.
I mean, I've done
Yeah.
days where we did a lot more, and it's just, I mean, it's crazy and
Yeah.
it's hard to sustain, honestly.
It's hard to sustain. It's abusive to crew.
It is abusive.
Yeah. So like I did do a feature film that
Wasn't my choice.
yeah. I did a feature film that I directed, and one of my really good friends was the AD, and we did 24, 26 setups on the first day. And part of it was because we had a montage, and it was in this apartment. Like, I thought we could like kind of rattle them off. And he's like, hey man, everyone did a great job. We made the shots, made the day. He's like, but they will mutiny on you if you do this for the next 20 days. And he's like, you need to really start thinking about how do we, and he was like, here's Y Tu Mama Tambien. And that was, which had a similar kind of, not content, but similar kind of themes to the film we were making. He's like, watch what he did. And like, let's think about how we can just have the camera be and let the actors do their thing. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And then I watched it. I was like, yeah, everything should be a oneer. He's like, not what I meant. Not what I meant. That's not what I meant to do.
My follow-up would be like, you have a situation where, yeah, there's a lot of shots, things are happening, whatever. What do you do if people don't listen to you, like your AD, like your DP?
Yeah. So if you're the AD,
Director?
yeah. So like the director has the final creative say.
Right.
As the AD, you're also the safety officer. So if there's anything that's remotely unsafe, the AD gets to nix that, and it doesn't really matter. Like you have the authority, not just in my opinion, but in these spaces it gets weird because we don't have necessarily contracts and unions and stuff to like deal with. So I would say if we were in a situation right now and you were going to do something that I thought were unsafe, and you were asking these two people to do something unsafe. Yeah, you're directing and they're performing. You're like, okay, I want you guys to just like run through traffic, or yeah, go over these railroad tracks. I was like, hey, we don't have anything set up for that. Like, we have to have this moment. It's like a key moment. I'm like, I understand, but until we can figure out how to do this safely, we're not doing this. Yeah. And then if you're like, no, I'm adamant, we're going to do this, I'd go to you two and I'd say, hey, you do not have to do this. I'm telling you right now, you do not have to do this. If you are going to do this, I'm going to leave.
Right. Also,
I'm not responsible for this.
Can feel it. The director goes, "Are you okay with this?" They'll usually say yes.
They'll usually say yes.
Because the director puts them in a weird.
Puts a weird spot. Yeah. That's the whole power dynamics that get really weird. But no, I remember when we were shooting in an apartment on a second story of this apartment, and it was like we were in a stairwell, and the gaffer had rigged this light so it was like strapped to the ground, but it was like leaning this way over a rail and like wrapping around the building to look in. Anyway, it was a windy day, and he had done some strapping on it, and I was like, hey man, can you strap it here as well? He's like, it's really safe. I was like, I need you to strap it there as well.
PA also just told it.
Yes, I was like, that needs to be locked in as possible. And so I've been fortunate. I haven't had too many safety things. I had one thing, and this is different than the question you're asking. So we were shooting in February 21. So it's like in the heart of COVID, and the executive producer was also acting in it, and he wanted to do a SAG film because he had been a SAG actor, wanted to become a SAG actor again, but he didn't want to pay the $60,000 back dues. So instead, he was paying $20,000 to shoot this short film. And so I was producing and ADing it, right? Yeah. And so, but in order to be SAG, so in order for all the actors on it to be SAG eligible to raise up to SAG, we had to have a SAG actor and follow all SAG protocols and meet a threshold of budget. So but you know, at that time, SAG had a ton of rules. Like I literally had to buy air filters for the location to put into their AC system to filter the air properly. So we had all this thing, and one of the things, and this was just a weird irony, we had a lot of like physical altercations, some fights in the movie. But the actors were not allowed to touch each other unless they had a rapid COVID test that morning. But we were shooting on a Saturday and Sunday, and we couldn't do a rapid COVID test in Jacksonville, Florida, on a Sunday morning. I think it was a Sunday morning. But the actors could be this far away from each other and yelling at each other, and their spit could fly and hit each other in the face. That was fine, but they couldn't touch each other. So at one point, we were trying to figure out how we were going to do this scene where a guy like has to like threaten another guy with a knife and like grab his arm and like threaten to cut his finger off. Not a big deal, but like that. But you can't touch each other. But I had stepped out to take a call, and they just did it. I didn't know that. That was the thing they absolutely just. I came back like, we got it. I was like, you got what? Like the scene we shot it. I was like, I don't want to see it. It didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about. This is not a thing that's happening. That was a little bit different because it was a union thing, and it was still safe. It's really safer than people spitting in each other's faces. So I've been fortunate though as far as that kind of stuff goes. But as far as your real question is, if people aren't listening to you, shut it down. Shut it down. Like that's the only thing you can do. And like, there's a reason people often hate the AD. Because they're giving bad news all the time. Like I try to be friendly and give people heads up and whatnot, but like sometimes you gotta yell at people. So kind of thing on the film we were doing that I didn't prep properly. I thought we were ready to go. Everything looked ready to go. I said I was giving the cadence to like get to rolling, and they're like hold, like we're bringing in a thing, and like they never communicated at any point that they're gonna bring this thing in. I see these guys coming in. I was like, what are y'all doing? It's like, oh, we have this thing we got set up. Like never any point was that said. And at that point, I was just fed. I was very frustrated. I was like, we have to communicate. We have to be saying, like, I'm not doing this to be a pain in the ass, but like, if I don't know what we're gonna do this, I can't help you. I ask you, are we ready to go? You tell me yes. You talk privately about how you want to bring another thing in. Don't tell me. I don't know that. I'm moving forward like we're gonna shoot. And then when we don't, somebody looks really stupid. I don't like anybody looking stupid because we all want to be feeling confident we're doing our job. But just shut it down. If anyone's doing anything that's unsafe and unwise and isn't giving the proper time or protocol to it, shut it down or walk.
And I've seen it now several times. These things happen. I mean, they're small budgets, whatever, but in indie, but they feel like they can do it because they're indie.
Yeah.
And it's just bad.
Yes.
But also, like, there have been situations where, again, people are not respecting their roles. So, like, the first AD's getting cut out, and the second AD and the directors are all powwow. Like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Stupid stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. If that kind of thing happens, if the director's cutting you out, just try. I mean, that's a tough spot to be in, especially again with this. We're like, no one's paying anybody anything, so.
I think it also comes from like the producing.
Yeah.
Because if they're not respectful of the people, then that turns into like you told us kind of
Yeah.
management.
So like the first stage of that is like when you arrive on set, arrive as the authority. And that doesn't mean be a jerk. Just means arrive with the presence of authority of like this is what we're doing, and almost like sometimes we will defer and give the director that space of like they're the director, they get the authority. Like no, they have the creative authority. Yeah. They don't have protocol authority. They actually have none of that. They don't get any of that. Don't give it to them. And I mean, that's a key thing for all ADs. Don't give the director or the DP or even the producer protocol authority. The producer can say, we're done. We're not going to pay for that kind of stuff. They have budgetary control. The set belongs to you. You are the safety authority. You are the protocol authority. The set is yours. You can come, as long as you come in with that confidence of like, hey, I've got this. We're good. Again, that authority doesn't mean come in like an asshole. It just means come in. This is what we're doing. Here's the stuff. Director, tell me what the shot is. What's the blocking look like? Excellent, thank you. Cut them off. Thank you, that's terrific. Are you good? Okay, great. First team, you can go. Crew, you have the set. DP, how much time do you need? 30 minutes? Great, we can get to 30 minutes. Never part of that was I being a jerk, but I owned it. All of it was mine, yes. And then,
You're kind of like reeling everyone in.
Yes, you're hurting the cats.
Yeah.
You're definitely hurting the cats.
My confusion is kind of like, because like I guess like the director has like the creative like final say, and like AD has like safety final say, but like like when like the days going too long, or like if you realize you don't have somebody doing a task that you need them to have, like, is that going back to the AD as well?
Yes, that's go back to the AD, and and again, that's kind of your thing to the safety thing, which is tough. I see you both. I got both of you guys. I promise. That's a tough spot because again, no union. When you're going to set for these independent things with no money and no union, all that kind of stuff, you have to show up with an agreement. Now, this is I think it's an important thing to communicate ahead of time by the producer and by the AD. We're going to operate under union guidelines. Like that's how we're going to do this thing. So that means you let everyone know ahead of time, we're doing a 12-hour day, 13 hours with lunch, right? That's our day. We're going to break at 6. Every 6, we're going to break for lunch or food. So if you're the AD and you're the producer and you're like, hey, we're running out of time, the director is adamant that we're getting these last 2 shots, I'm letting you know you need to call somebody for food. And then the producer can go, no, I'm not. And they talk to the director and be like, hey, wrap this. Like the 3.
Cut in like the middle of the scene and like finish the scene.
You finish the scene, finish the setup. So like you went to the producer and said, hey, the director's not budging on the shot. I don't think we're gonna get this day. I think we need to be prepared to order food. And the producer's like, we don't have the money for that. The 3 of you get together and say, hey, listen, we don't have the money for it. I'm gonna let people leave at 6, at the 3-hour mark. I'm letting them leave. And that's something, that's an authority that producer and the AD have to say, we're going to do that. Now, you generally speaking, people are pretty cool if you're working with friends on these things, and you have sort of rolling kind of vibe to it. You can go, hey, guys, based on our location moves, we're going to eat at 4. Everyone good with that? Is everyone good? And most people are like, yeah, and like I don't think they feel pressured. Like, yeah, that sounds fine, as long as I'm eating. I don't care when it happens. Hey guys, we're kind of running our day's going long. Are you guys good with a rolling lunch, where it's like, or they call it a French lunch, like, you're free, go eat. You're free, go eat. You're not, keep working. You're not, keep working. You're back, you two go eat. Like, and that sometimes people are like, I think with these kind of things are often just like, I'm not getting paid, let's get the day done. Whatever gets the day done. Like, I think you're kind of finding that what makes the most sense in those spaces, right? Getting the day done versus treating everybody cool. If you're communicating and no one feels blindsided by anything, you're usually gonna be okay. Your question, then your question. Sorry, that answer, yes, okay.
So this is just production scenario that I want your opinion on.
Okay, great.
So
This didn't totally happen last week, right?
no, of course not. Hypothetically, of course. So you're getting paid.
My friend said.
You're getting paid to really iterate. And so you have a director, maybe inexperienced, a first-time director, who the director, and then you also have a producer that has another role. Maybe they both have roles, and the producer's paying you, but they're not on the same page. How do you is that?
Politics.
You know what I mean? So that's a weird spot to be, right?
Yes.
Like, so how I want your advice in navigating that.
Yeah, actually, I find those can be really fun because you can be Iago to a certain extent. We're like, then it kind of becomes like, what do you want?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I usually do what's best, but what?
Yeah, I would say the first goal is to serve the story, right?
For sure.
So we try to serve the story first. And that's when you want to that's what goes back to the prep thing, right? Because I used to be really afraid to have other directors be my producer or AD, right? Because then or even DP, because they're like wanting to sort of direct the movie themselves. They want to make the movie they would see. And I've been guilty of that too, especially in the earlier days. But now I got to the point where like, I try not to think about any of the creative reasons the director's doing anything. I want to not care about that. I do want to understand what their cinematic language is though. Like, okay, you're trying to get this idea across. Based on what I've seen you do already, I think if you combine these 2 shots this way, it'll still look like your movie. We just combine these shots. And so that's where the prep comes in, and you're thinking about what it is. I'm trying to think of how you're gonna think. And so I can give you a suggestion that feels like it came from you. Now, with the director and producer who are not on the same page, I think you're trying to. This goes back. I guess it's actually the same point. Identifying what each one of them wants, and then finding out how you can bridge those 2 things. They're rarely going to say, "I want this" and "I want this," but they are going to communicate something that's going to imply what they actually want. So the producer might be more often than not, I don't want to pay any more money. I want to be done. The director will be like, I want my vision captured, right? I want to feel like I'm doing a good job in this moment. And so then it's just massaging both those egos. Like, hey man, we're gonna get your producer. I got a plan. We're gonna get this thing figured out. Just hang tight for me. Let him be over there. Let him chill. Come to the director. Be like, hey, we're running out of time. We don't have any more money. But I think, what do you think about this? And just try to toss some ideas that are even close to what they might want, and then go, oh, no, what? I know what I want to do. It's kind of like with my friend. I was like, hey, you have 6 shots. We're not going to get them. We can do 1. Let's talk about how we're going to do that. He mostly figured that actually on his own, but he figured it out. Then you can start sort of, and then once he figures it out, you'll go, man, that's a good idea. You're doing a good, and not don't be like blow smoke, but like, hey man, that's a great idea. You're killing it. Let's keep it going. You've done a great job. Let's get this thing in the can. Then you can go back to the producer, like, hey, I think we have a solution. Bring them back together. Hey, this is a solution. We can get this done. We might have to call 30 minutes grace. And if for grace is when you're in the setup, and you know you're going to go, that's the time it takes to finish that setup will go over. Do your allotment for meal break, whatever. You're calling grace. You're like, okay, we've got some extra time to sort of build into it. You don't do that all the time, but you're calling grace. Yeah, you just try to feed them, do something nice afterwards, buy them around or something at the bar, like do something like that. But that's a good way to sort of navigate that. But a lot of it's just going to be psychology and politics, like human politics.
Pick between the two, I guess, and
Both.
because I mean, yeah, okay, yeah.
So without knowing the intimate specifics and details, which I can't possibly know, yeah.
So it probably depends on the situation.
It's going to always depend on situations, but I would say that's going to be how you solve it. And sometimes they're not that solvable, and you just let them burn it to the ground. It's not on you anymore. This gentleman has a question, yes. Oh, last question. Okay, you have the last one. No pressure.
So basically, I've experienced it with like directing my own short film, but like you said, like the bigger budgets, like a second AD would be the person I would be calling for the next day to make sure everything.
Yes.
So what happens when so like on a shorter thing, so like a first AD would be in that primary, like okay, so tomorrow we're doing this and that. What happens when you have like a weather scheduling, like something close, like hey, you schedule because we filmed at a pool one time.
Yeah.
We were told, hey, we can film at this pool, and then they said,
Almost killed a guy that way.
and then we basically got told, hey, we can't film tonight. And I was like, oh, crap, because we had like a 14-day schedule. So then what we did is you took what we already filmed and we got some early. So we took another day, moved stuff back, and then like pushed it there. But for you, for like a bigger budget, does the first AD go to the producer, the director, be like, hey, we have a hurricane hitting?
Yeah. So if you don't have a second, then the first would be the one who's probably navigating that, or the producer. Depends on who's just sort of available to. Yeah, production manager also. It depends on like the size of the team, and then who's available to receive that information. I think what you did is the right way to do it. Like that's really very wise. I know like this one I'm doing right now. We have a number of driving things. We're trying to get the driving stuff done all in one day, which is we have like it's like 9 pages of stuff, but it's all in this car and it's driving. So weather permitting, we shouldn't be a problem. But we do know that we can use 3 people for a crew and shoot it a week afterwards if we have to. Like we know we can do that. Yes, basically we'll just do a pickup for the driving stuff. But we know that like if we know we can kill that day too. Like if something goes wrong and somewhere else, we know we can kill the driving day, push that driving day a week out, and fill it with whatever needs to get filled in. A pool is interesting because it's so specific, right? Because I was gonna say, in a more general sense, goes back to the prep thing. If you're the AD and you're looking at this, like, hey, we're going to shoot in Florida in July outside almost exclusively. You're like, well, at 3 o'clock, it's going to rain every single day. We just know that. And they go, yeah, that's fine. We're only planning for 6 shots. We'll just wait out the rain, which is you can absolutely do in Florida because it'll rain for 40 minutes. It'll stop. You'll have a wet down. Wait 20 more minutes, and you're all sweating, and it doesn't matter anymore. But we know we can kind of do that. Or we can go, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. It's going to rain. How many of these things have to happen outside? It's like, oh, it's supposed to happen outside at a gas station. It's like, well, can you move it inside the gas station? Okay, let's call the gas station so we can move it inside the gas station. Shoot whatever we need to do in the gas station. Or we know we're going to shoot in the morning, get the exteriors in the morning. These scenes can happen in the gas station. We'll do that. A pool is obviously very unique because it's hard to fake a pool. And I imagine the pool is specific to some action that happens in the pool, whether it's someone's, it's about a racer or it's someone's going to drown in the pool, as we just sort of joked about. Like, it's probably something very specific, action-oriented. If that wasn't the case, I'd say, well, can it happen in the pool house? Can it happen in the locker room? But it just sounds very specific. If you're shooting a football movie, you need a football field. Then you're just sort of figuring out, you're rewriting your schedule on the fly, and you're just doing your best with what you have and what you know you can move. And I think it's maybe something, again, in prep, you go, hey, weather issues, what happens? What do we do? and like, okay, well, this night we can move to this day if it rains or something happens, we can't use the pool, and we'll see if we can use the pool on this night instead, and just sort of keep pushing it. But it sounds like what you guys did was actually a really clever way of handling it, and that's probably what I would have told you to do if I was the AD. So well done, good job.